Archangel Michael says, "I'm shocked because only you still don't know what happened last night. Watch this now." God says, "Hurry up. This is your last chance to know the whole truth before it's too late." The skies watched in stillness, and the heavens trembled quietly, for what unfolded while the world slept was not ordinary. The whisper of gods will move through the stars, and still, your heart wonders what you missed in the silence of last night. There's something waiting for you, not in the loudness of the world, but in the quiet place where God speaks straight to your spirit. If this stirs something inside you, then your soul is ready. Type Amen if you believe. You may not know this yet, but heaven has been moving on your behalf long before you opened your eyes this morning. Last night, as the world turned under the moonlight and most hearts lay tucked beneath dreams and covers, the angels stood in still attention. Their wings didn't stir. They listened. They waited. Because God spoke something sacred into the darkness, and it had your name written inside it. In the quiet hours when you didn't see or hear, God was preparing the ground beneath your feet. He was shifting what needed to move. He was softening what had become hardened. And in that gentle movement, something sacred began, something only faith can fully grasp. There was no thunder, no lightning, just the breath of God shaping the edges of what's to come for you. The world may call it coincidence, but heaven calls it timing, and God calls it love. And while you slept, unaware of the spiritual realm holding its breath, the archangels looked upon your life with awe. Not because of what you've done, but because of how deeply the Father still loves you. They were moved. They were in shock, not because you've failed or stumbled or doubted, but because you still don't see what has already begun. The grace, the protection, the redemption. All of it quietly poured into your story before sunrise. Heaven has never needed your perfection. Only your openness. Only your heart. Only your whisper of surrender that says, "God, I don't know everything, but I trust you anyway." If you've been waiting for a sign, then hear this softly: last night was the sign. Last night was your beginning. Not the kind marked by noise and crowds, but the kind that roots deep, where the soil is dark and sacred and still. Type 1111 if you trust in God. This is not about fear. It's not about what you missed. It's about what you're walking into. God isn't behind you, keeping a record of your missteps. He's ahead, clearing the road, lighting the lamp, preparing the embrace. And He's not rushing. His timing is holy, and He's not asking you to sprint. He's simply asking you to walk with Him. Step by step. Breath by breath. Moment by moment. A powerful 9-word prayer once classified by secret agencies has now leaked, and it's quietly rewriting destinies. In under 30 seconds, it reprograms the mind to attract wealth and dissolve scarcity. Users are reporting surprise income, restored hope, and financial peace. But this page might be deleted at any time. Click the link now before it's taken down without warning. Sometimes the most powerful things God does are hidden from sight, until the right time. Just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. The healing, the forgiveness, the second chance, the miracle, it's already started. Your spirit may feel tired, your heart may be heavy, but your story isn't finished. God hasn't stopped writing. The ink is still wet from last night, and the page is turning even now. The archangels lean close not to judge but to protect. To shield. To cover you in light. Because they see what God has spoken over you. They see the assignment. They see the purpose, the beauty, the calling you've been carrying, even in the times when you forgot you had one. They are not here for punishment. They are here for promise. To fight in places your eyes can't see. To remind your soul that you are not forgotten, and never have been. God's voice was never in the earthquake or the fire. It was always in the still, small whisper. That whisper came last night. And it is still echoing through this very moment. You are reading this not by accident, not by scrolling, not by coincidence. You were meant to see this, right here, right now. Because the time is not running out, it is opening. And before the clock strikes 9, heaven is gently calling your name. You may have wondered why certain doors stayed closed, why some prayers took longer than you thought they should. But what if the delay wasn't punishment, but preparation? What if God wasn't saying, no, but not yet, because He was making the blessing bigger than you imagined? What if what happened last night was the final shift you needed before your breakthrough unfolds? The sky didn't need to roar. The stars didn't need to fall. All that needed to happen was already done in the spiritual realm, where God placed His hand over your future and whispered, now. Now is the time for peace to enter. Now is the time for healing to rise. Now is the time for you to let go of what didn't bloom and trust in the seed that was planted while you slept. You are still here. You are still breathing. And that means God is not finished with you yet. Let this part of your journey be soaked in mercy, surrounded in light, and led by the one who knows the end from the beginning. This isn't your last chance because you failed. It's your last chance because the door is opening, and heaven doesn't want you to miss it. Type 222 if you feel God's presence near you. There is something deeply sacred about how God moves when the world is quiet. In the softest place of the night, when your soul longs for answers and your mind grows tired of the waiting, He does not forget you. He doesn't turn His face away. Instead, He draws near. Not with noise, not with thunder, but with a love so gentle it feels like peace breaking through the cracks of everything that ever hurt you. As you slept, heaven was not resting. The angels were holding their ground. They stood watch. They circled your home. They whispered blessings into the corners of your heart that you didn't even know needed healing. Because while the world dreams, God works. He speaks new beginnings into old stories. He makes peace where chaos tried to stay. And last night, He came close, so close that if your soul had been still enough, you would have felt Him there. Do not think for 1 second that the silence you feel means God is absent. Silence is often the language of sacred things. Last night, in the silence, He spoke healing over you. He called your name, not with urgency, but with tenderness. He reminded the angels of who you are, of the mission you carry, of the love He's never stopped giving you. And the archangels, who have seen the wonders of creation, still stood in awe of how deeply He loves just one person, you. There is a kind of miracle that doesn't look like a miracle at first. It doesn't arrive with flashes of gold or loud hallelujahs. It comes in slow mornings, in gentle reminders, in unexplainable peace. That's what happened last night. You didn't see it, but something broke off your spirit that had clung too tightly for too long. Something heavy left your shoulders. Something holy took its place. You woke up lighter, even if you didn't know why. This is why. Type 555 if you know Jesus is near. When heaven moved, it didn't do it to impress or to perform. It moved because you matter. It moved because God does not forget the broken-hearted, and He does not skip over the weary. He doesn't love you in pieces. He loves you whole, and fully, and every moment. What you feel today is not random. It is the result of what began in the spirit while your body rested. It is the echo of prayers you whispered months ago that finally reached the perfect time. The enemy hoped you'd stay asleep, not just physically, but spiritually. He hoped you'd keep living numb, distracted, doubtful. But God had different plans. He had angels ready. He had a shift scheduled. He had a breakthrough marked for you. Not when you earned it, not when you proved anything, but just because He chose you for it. That's grace. That's love. That's the God you belong to. If you've been tired, let your soul rest here. You are not lost. You are not late. You have not missed anything. The very moment you feel forgotten is when heaven leans in closer. The very moment you feel unworthy is when grace covers you the most. Jesus doesn't wait for you to be perfect before He holds your hand. He walks with you in the mess, through the pain, past the doubt. And right now, He is whispering that you're not alone. What if you discovered a tiny, walnut-sized brain region holds the secret to endless wealth and success? Recently uncovered by groundbreaking research and once buried in classified files, this frequency is now available to anyone ready to listen. Imagine replacing worry and struggle with a life of financial ease and freedom. Interested? Click the link in video description and comments below to unleash this hidden brain wave and start attracting wealth right now. You have been guided to this message for a reason, and if you turn away, the chance may not return. This is your time to step in. You don't need to fight so hard to be strong. You just need to remember whose strength you live under. What God began last night, He will continue today. You are being led, even if you can't see the path clearly yet. You are being healed, even if the wound still aches. You are being restored, even if the pieces haven't come back together all at once. Let yourself believe that what God is doing doesn't have to be visible to be real. It doesn't have to make sense to bring peace. It only has to be trusted. Trust the stirring you feel. Trust the calm that surprised you this morning. Trust the new softness in your heart where bitterness used to live. These are not coincidences. These are quiet miracles, the kind only God can give. You are not the same person who laid their head down last night. Something changed. Something sacred. Let it continue. Let it grow. Let it heal. You are not too far. You are not too broken. You are not too late. The archangels saw what you couldn't see, and even they were moved by what God has begun in you. Type yes to affirm. What happened as the world slept was not a warning, but an invitation. The archangels stood in deep reverence as God whispered your name with compassion, not judgment, offering you the peace your heart has longed for. They watched the Lord rewrite the weight of your yesterday, turning sorrow into hope and fear into quiet courage. These moments are sacred, for they remind you that the Lord's love does not wait for daylight to arrive or for you to be perfect. His love moves freely, even when you cannot see it, even when you doubt it, even when your heart feels too tired to carry another prayer. And yet, He keeps choosing you. Last night was not about fear or final chances in the way the world understands them. It was about love that refuses to give up. It was about God placing a shield of light around your heart, even when you were unaware of battles being fought for your soul. The archangels were not shocked because you failed to notice, but because even after everything, heaven still sees you as worthy of grace, worthy of mercy, worthy of redemption. They are in awe of your resilience, your quiet tears, your decision to keep breathing, believing, and hoping even when everything around you told you to stop. And they remain at your side still. As the moon faded and the first light touched the earth, your burdens did not vanish all at once, but something gentle took their place, an unseen strength, a soft reassurance from God that you are not alone. He didn't erase your story. He redeemed it. This is the miracle that began last night. It did not come as fire from the skies, but as a stillness in your spirit that told you to keep going. It was not loud, but it was holy. It did not come to frighten you, but to call you into a place of peace you have not felt in a long time. Type 1919 to receive miracles. There will be moments when your heart tries to question it all, when your mind struggles to understand what you cannot see. But faith was never meant to be about seeing first. It was meant to be about trusting the hand that leads you, even through shadows. What God started last night is not fragile. It will not disappear just because you feel unsure. His promises are stronger than your fears and gentler than your doubts. And He will continue what He has begun, even on the days you feel too tired to try. You must know this: nothing about your past disqualifies you from God's love. Nothing you've faced has been wasted. Every tear, every silence, every unanswered prayer has been gathered by His hands. He knows the exact moment your heart broke, and He knows the precise way it needs to heal. This is why last night mattered. It was not about endings, but about beginnings. A new chapter was written, not with ink, but with grace. The angels stood in reverence because God has not forgotten you. They were moved because they witnessed how your name was spoken in heaven with love, not disappointment. They felt the shift when mercy touched your life again. They saw the chains that began to loosen. They felt the light filling the places where darkness once lived. They saw hope take root, even before you felt it. And now they remain near, guiding your steps, softening your fears, reminding your weary heart that the Lord is still with you. In the quiet of this morning, take a breath and let your soul remember, God is not distant. He is here. He has always been here, even in your loneliest moments. He saw every night you cried silently. He heard every prayer whispered into your pillow. He held every fear that tried to suffocate your spirit. And still, He chose to love you this deeply. He chose to fight for you. He chose to make last night holy, for your sake, because your life matters more to Him than you could ever understand. Do not rush this moment. Let the peace settle. Let the love of Christ wrap around your heart like a warm blanket on a cold night. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to take one gentle step toward Him, and He will cover the rest of the distance. This is the kind of love that changes everything, not suddenly, but steadily, until one day you look back and see how far you've come. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. Something happened that only heaven truly understands. Not because you deserved punishment, but because you were ready for mercy in a new way. In the quiet corners of the night, God gathered the pieces of your heart that had been scattered by loss, disappointment, fear, and confusion, and He held them in His hands with the kind of gentleness that only perfect love can offer. The heavens watched as He did not turn away, but leaned in closer to you, closer than ever before. You may not have heard the sound, but there was a holy stirring in the unseen, where God's promises live and breathe. Last night, the weight of regret began to lift. The chains that wrapped themselves around your confidence, your peace, your faith, they started to unravel. Not all at once, but enough for light to break through. Enough for heaven to declare that your spirit was no longer bound by the lies you believed about yourself. That you are not forgotten. That you are not lost. That you have never been too far gone for the love of Christ to reach you. What if I told you financial freedom is not about working harder, but activating a dormant brain signal designed to draw abundance directly to you? Neuroscience proves this sound wave unlocks prosperity faster than any method known before. From unexpected cash to life-changing success, it's already helping thousands. Imagine looking back tomorrow wishing you had acted today. Do not let regret replace the miracle that is calling you right now. Click the link in the video description and comments below to turn on the ancient money wave and create the life you've always dreamed of today. The truth is, the world might see you one way, but heaven sees you differently. Where others see weakness, God sees a soul still trying. Where others see brokenness, God sees someone worth rebuilding. He sees the late nights when your thoughts won't stop, the mornings when you force yourself to rise anyway, and the in-between moments when you carry burdens you don't talk about. He saw all of that last night. And instead of turning away, He stepped closer, because that's what a loving Father does. Last night wasn't about judgment, it was about redemption. The archangels surrounded you, not because of what you did wrong, but because of what God planned to make right. They stood in awe not of your failure, but of the grace that continues to cover you. They were moved because the mercy of the Lord wrapped around your soul again, in ways too deep for words. The darkness didn't win. The silence didn't take over. The lies lost their grip. Because even while you were unaware, Jesus Christ was fighting for your heart. Type 666 if you trust Jesus. You don't need to be afraid of what's ahead. The path has already been touched by the hands of God. He's not asking you to run. He's not expecting you to have all the answers. He's simply inviting you to walk with Him, to stay near Him, and to allow His love to fill every place in your heart that still feels empty or uncertain. There's no shame here. No guilt. Only a quiet invitation to begin again, this time with the knowledge that you are loved beyond understanding. Sometimes, healing comes slowly. Sometimes, it starts in the smallest places. A little more peace in your morning. A little more courage when fear tries to return. A little more faith when doubt speaks louder than hope. A whispered promise that your life is not over, not wasted, not ruined. It is being made new, even now. You may be wondering what to do with this moment. How to respond. But the answer is simple. Rest. Trust. Stay close. Allow yourself to believe that what was spoken over your life in the sacred hours is still unfolding, even now. You do not need to force it. You do not need to perform. You are already enough in the eyes of God. He's not waiting for you to earn His love. He's just asking you to receive it. There will be days when you feel the weight return, when you wonder if anything really changed. On those days, remember this: God does not begin what He will not finish. He does not plant seeds He won't bring to life. What happened last night was real, even if invisible. It was holy, even if quiet. And it was for you, specifically. Not for someone else more holy or more deserving. For you, because you are His. And when the night comes again, don't be afraid. Know that the same God who moved in silence is still with you in the dark. The same angels who watched over you then are watching now. Not because you are in danger, but because heaven rejoices every time you take another step toward healing, hope, and wholeness. Type 2323 if you agree. There are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface, but in the realm you cannot see, they are anything but. Last night was one of those moments. You weren't forgotten in the stillness, you were being remembered, intentionally, tenderly, by the one who shaped your soul with His own breath. God didn't wait for you to reach out first. He came to you. He moved through your pain, your silence, your questioning, and He settled beside your heart like a father kneeling beside his child. Not to correct, not to accuse, but to comfort. If you're wondering what it means or how to respond, don't try to solve it like a puzzle. This isn't about understanding everything. This is about trusting that something deep inside you is being restored by a love that does not expect you to have all the answers. Let yourself feel the weight of that. Let yourself exhale. You've been carrying more than you were ever meant to carry. And last night, heaven stepped in to help you lay it down. You may not have seen the shift, but your soul felt it. The confusion that sat heavy in your chest started to loosen. The fear that gripped your decisions began to break apart. The doubt that kept you from believing in better things took a step back. It wasn't dramatic, but it was holy. And the archangels, who have watched empires rise and fall, were left in awe, not by the grandness of the moment, but by the softness of God's compassion poured out just for you. The Lord knows how tired you've been. He sees the way you push forward, even when you feel empty. He hears the prayers you whisper at night, the ones that don't even have words anymore. And He answers them, not always by changing your circumstances immediately, but by entering the storm and sitting with you in it. Last night, he did exactly that. He didn't wait for you to invite him in. He came because love goes where it's needed most. And your heart has needed love for far too long. Type 2020 to claim miracles. You're not broken beyond repair. You never have been. The enemy may have tried to convince you otherwise, planting lies in your mind, shaping your fears to look like facts. But God sees you through different eyes. He sees someone worthy of healing. Someone whose story still has beauty left in it. Someone who hasn't been disqualified by their past, but redeemed for something greater. An ancient 9-word code, once reserved for high-level insiders, has been uncovered. It's simple, quick, and shockingly effective at drawing money and blessings into your life. Neuroscientists confirm it stimulates the brain's receiving center, an area dormant in most people. People everywhere are calling it the 30-second miracle. Click the link in the description and comments before the authorities remove it again. What began last night wasn't temporary. It wasn't a fleeting emotional moment. It was eternal. A divine shift in your spiritual journey. The kind that marks a before and after. Before the night, maybe you felt like you were drifting. After it, something in your soul began to anchor. You are not floating aimlessly. You are being led, step by step, by a God who doesn't get tired of your stumbles. He lifts you every time, because His love is not based on your performance, it's based on His character, and His character is faithful. And the angels? They're not here as silent watchers. They are warriors of light, standing beside you with unwavering strength, assigned to protect what God is growing inside your life. They are here because your destiny still matters. Your future still holds promise. You are still chosen. And no matter how long it's taken or how far you've wandered, last night was God's way of calling you back, not with punishment, but with kindness. When you woke up this morning, the weight might have still been there. That's okay. Healing isn't always immediate. It unfolds, like sunlight slowly warming the earth. Give it time. Give God time. What He planted in the dark will grow in the light. Just because you don't see the fruit yet doesn't mean the seed didn't take root. It did. And it's growing, quietly, deeply, exactly as it should. You don't have to strive to keep God's attention. You already have it. You don't need to perform for His approval. You are already His. He doesn't hold your past against you. He holds your future for you. And what happened last night is proof that He is still deeply involved in every part of your journey, even the parts you try to hide from everyone else. There is no version of your life where God gives up on you. Not now, not ever. He will keep showing up. He will keep reminding you that your life is worth the fight. That your soul is worth the saving. That your heart still beats with purpose, even when you can't feel it. And when you're too tired to believe that for yourself, He'll surround you with angels who believe it for you, who will guard you, guide you, and gently keep you going. Last night wasn't a warning. It was a rescue. A soft but certain rescue from fear, from shame, from despair. And even now, that rescue continues. Each moment you choose faith, each time you choose to hope again, even when it's hard, you're stepping deeper into the life God always intended for you. One filled not with perfection, but with grace. Type Amen if you believe. Heaven didn't forget about you while you slept. In fact, all of heaven leaned closer. The archangels gathered not to sound alarms, but to stand in awe of what the Father was doing for you. There was no panic, no judgment, only love, moving gently, precisely, to reach the place inside you that's been aching for comfort. God saw it. The weariness. The wondering. The parts of you that feel like they've been waiting forever for something to change. He saw it, and instead of turning away, he stepped in. He came quietly, as he often does. He doesn't always arrive with signs and wonders. Sometimes, he simply shows up in the middle of the night and sits with you. Not because you begged for it. Not because you earned it. But because that's the kind of Father he is. Faithful. Present. Tender. He didn't need the world to know what happened. It was enough that you would. That your soul would feel the shift, even if your mind didn't understand it yet. The truth is, what happened last night wasn't about drama. It was about destiny. It wasn't about scaring you. It was about saving you. God doesn't deal in fear. He deals in freedom. And that's what he gave you. Even if it hasn't fully unfolded yet, the chains that held you were already breaking. The weight you've been dragging behind you started to lift. You may still feel the pressure of your life, but underneath it now is a deeper strength, a strength you didn't create, but one that was given to you by the Spirit himself. There's a reason your heart feels a little softer today, even if you can't explain why. There's a reason you keep thinking about these words. Because God began something that your spirit is still catching up to. He didn't wait for you to wake up to do his work. He did it while you rested, to remind you that it's not by your strength, not by your effort, but by his grace alone. Type 1111 if you trust in God. When the archangels saw what the Lord poured over your life last night, they stood still. They are not shocked by your failures or flaws. They were moved by the love that covered them. A love so pure, so unwavering, that even heaven watches in wonder. Not because of what you've done, but because of who God is. Because of how deeply he chooses to love you, even now, even here. You may feel like you're still walking through a storm, but the storm isn't proof that God is absent. It's proof that he's protecting something. That he's nurturing something beneath the surface. Some things grow best in the rain. Some things need the quiet before they bloom. And what God started last night is going to bloom in ways you never saw coming. You are not where you were. Even if everything looks the same on the outside, something has shifted within. You are being led by hands that do not let go. You are being watched over by angels who fight for you in the dark. And you are being loved by a God who sees you, not as your mistakes, not as your fears, but as his child, treasured, chosen, redeemed. You don't need to do anything dramatic to respond to this. You don't need to change everything overnight. All you need to do is stay open. Stay soft. Keep your heart pointed toward heaven, even when the path feels unsure. God is not rushing you. He is walking with you, step by step. He knows how long it's taken for you to get here. He knows the battles you've fought in silence. And He honors every tear, every breath, every moment you chose to keep going when everything in you wanted to give up. There is nothing small about your faith, even if it feels fragile. The Lord honors it. He sees the courage it takes to keep hoping. He sees the way you keep showing up for your life, even when it hurts. And He wants you to know, He is not finished. What began last night is only the beginning. He will keep speaking, keep healing, keep drawing you closer until the day you realize that all along, you were never alone. A hidden 9-word prayer rediscovered in a sealed government document is now changing everything for those who dare to use it. It activates your brain's forgotten abundance channel, helping you manifest prosperity in ways you've never seen before. The results: cleared debts, growing savings, sudden opportunities, speak for themselves. Don't wait until this vanishes. Click the link before it's erased from the internet. The past doesn't disqualify you. The pain doesn't define you. The mistakes don't mark you. Only His love does. That's why last night was holy, because it was another reminder that the story isn't over. That something beautiful is still being written with your name in it. That heaven has not stopped believing in you, even on the days you struggle to believe in yourself. Let your heart rest in this. Let your thoughts settle. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. All you have to do is receive the truth that what God gave you last night is still with you right now. It's not gone. It's not lost. It's living in you, growing, unfolding, guiding. Type 222 if your heart is open to God's love. When heaven moved on your behalf, it wasn't because you had everything together. It wasn't because you finally got it right or prayed the perfect prayer. It was because your spirit had reached the edge, and God, in His mercy, said, "That's enough. That's enough pain. Enough shame. Enough wandering." And in that moment, He reached out, not with a voice of anger, but with arms of comfort. He didn't send thunder. He sent peace. The archangels stood close. Not because you were in danger, but because something sacred was unfolding. They saw what your eyes could not, a God who refuses to let you go. They stood still, not in fear, but in reverence. Because when God whispers to one of His children in the middle of the night, all of heaven listens. The kind of love He poured over you does not come lightly. It is the love that made the stars, the oceans, the mountains, and yet, He gave it to you freely, in your sleep, because He loves you that much. You may not fully feel it yet, but what began last night is changing you. Slowly, gently, with every breath. God isn't in a hurry. He's not measuring your progress by perfection. He's watching for the moments your heart leans toward Him again. Even if it's quiet. Even if it's tired. Even if it's scared. Especially then. You see, there's something holy about the way you've kept going. Something deeply precious about the way you haven't given up. The world may not notice, but heaven does. The angels see it. They see the battles no one else sees. The strength it takes just to get out of bed some days. The moments you've cried in silence, hoping God hears. And last night, He answered, not with noise, but with presence. Type 555 if you know Jesus is with you. You don't need to feel worthy to be loved. You don't need to fix yourself to be healed. You just need to stay open. God didn't wait for you to have it all together. He came in the middle of your mess, the middle of your struggle, the middle of your doubt, and He sat with you. That's who Jesus is. Not a distant figure waiting for you to get it right, but a loving Savior who steps into your brokenness and holds you there. What happened last night was not an emotional moment. It was a divine decision. God made it clear, He's not letting go of you. You can run, you can doubt, you can even fall apart, but His hand will always find you. That's what grace looks like. It's not loud. It's not demanding. It simply arrives and stays. There is healing unfolding within you right now. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's slow. But it is real. You may not feel different yet, but that doesn't mean God isn't working. Some of His greatest work happens underground, in the places no one sees. Don't be discouraged if the change feels small. It's not. It's holy. It's steady. It's life being rebuilt. You are not who you were yesterday. Something sacred began while you were resting. You may still feel tired. That's okay. Rest is not a weakness, it's a part of the healing. You are being renewed, not just in body, but in soul. And that takes time. Give yourself the grace to move slowly. You don't have to rush. God is not impatient with you. Heaven is not disappointed in you. The angels aren't frustrated. They are amazed. Amazed by how you keep choosing to believe, even when it's hard. They are moved by your honesty, your vulnerability, your willingness to keep hoping when everything in you wants to shut down. That kind of faith, the quiet, trembling kind, is more powerful than anything you can imagine. You don't have to earn what God gave you last night. You don't have to explain it. Just receive it. Let your heart rest in it. Let your thoughts slow down. Let your spirit breathe. What was spoken over your life in the night is still alive this morning. It hasn't faded. It hasn't weakened. It is still surrounding you. Still guiding you. Still protecting you. God's love doesn't run out. It doesn't change its mind. It doesn't give up. That's why what happened last night matters so much. It was not about punishment. It was about promise. The promise that He is still with you, still for you, still working in ways you can't see yet. Type yes to affirm.